Hey everyone, I am just going to do a demo here of a couple of the different new AI agent tools that have come out recently and some of the other ones that have been out for a while too. But what I want to demonstrate is basically how to string these together in order to accomplish real world scenarios. So in this particular case, I'm going to be using a string of these in a scenario for myself where I am going to be researching different topics that folks such as yourselves might be interested in hearing about for future videos or longer article essays or newsletters in the future here. So I'm going to be using a string of a couple different tools here that I listed in the document that I had created there and put out alongside this. And just to kind of give an example of some of the different things that are possible. So let me get shared out here. All right. So the first one that I'm going to do here to at least get going while we're working in the background is going to be Gemini Deep Research. So Deep Research is a tool or feature set that a lot of basically all of the main AI competitors have nowadays between Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini. But as far as like a research agent goes, I just wanted to demonstrate with one of them here what they're capable of. So inside of Gemini here, we're going to select from the tools section, we're going to go with deep research. And from here, we're going to give it a topic along with additional information that we want it to take into consideration as it's searching for additional materials and being able to bring that back to us and then presenting it to us in a way that we would like. So in this case, as I mentioned, I'm doing researching different topics. So I'm going to go ahead and input that here. I am a aspiring solopreneur looking to put together a newsletter and other content creation on and around AI and the latest advancements, robotics, those kinds of things. I want you to go and do research on those particular topics, but in specific, what people are the most interested in hearing about. And I want the selection of materials to ideally be from 2025 so that it's more relevant. I want a breadth of different topics ranging from, not only just about like the tools and their capabilities themselves, but also around kind of the societal aspect of it, philosophical, and just different angles and talking points that can contribute to some more engaging and interesting content more than just the news and the headlines there. So I'm mainly looking for kind of a general consensus or where there seems to be a lot of interest entering the mainstream discourse around these topics. In addition, what I would like you to do is to research which of these topics has the most. Yeah, so we'll go with that for now. So I'm just going to end my dictation here. Oops, got some of the extra stuff in it here. Perfect. All right, so that was just a dictation app that I'm using called Whisper Flow to help with that. So we have our prompt in there. In addition to this too, if I wanted to give it a format that I wanted it to return it to me in, I could provide that as well. So in this case, I'll say, return this to me in a report that highlights, I think, let's do it by category. So categorize it and then have it explain the different topics or points of interest, a little bit of the conversation behind it or why it's surfacing in the news or in mainstream discourse, and then I guess your input as to whether or not it is that covering that particular topic is saturated or if it would make sense to add my voice to the existing material that is currently out there. Perfect. All right, so we will send that off. We're going to see if it comes back with any questions initially. I know for ChatGPT specifically, without fail, we'll always come back with like a couple clarifying questions or something that it wants your input on. For Gemini here, it puts together a research plan and then it'll ask me to approve it once it's put it together, and then it'll start off on its work. So again, in general, what makes the research agent an agent is the fact that it is able to come up with its own plan towards a goal, execute it autonomously, and go and find all this material on its own, right? Other than my initial prompt that I gave it here, I'm not pushing it along to be able to go do that research and then to also put it into a report that I'm able to read afterwards. So you can see here it's broken down its plan here of what it's going to research and in what order. It's going to analyze the results, create the report, and then provide it back to me. So if I did want to edit that, I could click it here. But in this case, I'm just going to say go ahead. Cool. So this process then could take a while. So we're going to go and do some other stuff while it is doing this. In the meantime, then we're going to do another type of agentic task here, also in the research section, but we're going to use a product called Perplexity, which is kind of like they consider themselves an answer engine. So they're like ChatGPT or Google, but they're more geared towards Q&A, you could say, or finding information, is at least how they've kind of gotten their start here. So we're going to use a feature of theirs called Labs, which in addition to going out and being able to do research and things like that, it also has a better interface in order to present the data back to us. So in this case, I'm going to, again, use a prompt here and ask it or tell it what I'm looking for here. I am an aspiring solopreneur looking to start an AI-related newsletter, and surrounding topics that are adjacent to AI as well. I'm looking to understand what the competitive market is for this type of content and see where I can differentiate myself from it. So what I would like is for you to research the kind of competitors in this space, both newsletters, but also people who write longer form content on like Substack as an example, YouTubers that would kind of fall into this category as well. And what I would like you to do is to analyze the type of materials that they're putting out and to try to categorize them and come up with an assessment as to what niches are currently oversaturated and where might there be some additional room for me to enter in, or where I could possibly add value or a different perspective. So do a bit of brainstorming as well. And then what I would like you to do is present this to me in an interactive dashboard that I can use to sift through and understand the competition, what mediums they're producing content in, the topics, and then also explore your brainstorming material on what paths, what possible routes I could take for types of content and mediums that I could produce. All right, so I'm going to send that off now here under the labs. Cool. So this one here, as you can see, it also thankfully gives you a timer as to how long it estimates it's going to take at least. And then you can set up a notification so that it'll ding you when it's done. So this is another task then that while it's doing that research, I can now go step away. Interesting. Okay, so it asked me a clarifying question here. So it says, what's your background or expertise area that you'd want to leverage for differentiation? So in this case, I could say things like, I have a background in localization and project management. I am a self-taught low-code, no-code platform user and, AI agent builder, AI engineer, you could say. And I have interests around photography, anime, video games, fantasy, and things like that. Cool. So there's a little bit of extra info. So that's another interesting thing too about agents, at least some of the newer variations as well, is that you can not only just interrupt them, but you can also add stuff while they're working on things. So similar to like if you asked a coworker or a colleague to do something for you, and we remember like, oh shoot, I was also going to ask, can you do this thing, while you're at it, or can you put it in this format? They're able to accept those kinds of things as well. So this one's off and working. Gemini is still working as well too. So we're getting our competition set up here, right? Or researched. We're getting some additional topics. And now let's see. All right. So while those tools are working, then we are going to draft up what's called a product requirements document for a website that I could build to house this information in addition to just sending it out via email or posting it on social media here. So I'm going to grab some of the context that I initially gave. Nope, not from there, I guess. Here we go. All right. I'm going to grab some of the context from up here. So about what I'm trying to do here. So aspiring solopreneur, looking to put together a newsletter and stuff. Let's see. So in this case, again, we're putting together what's called a PRD, or a product requirements document. I want you to help me brainstorm for a website that could accompany my newsletter. I'm looking for something that would add value to the users beyond just a place to read the content that I put out, or, links to different videos or blogs or other news sources that I put together. Something that could also be useful in terms of providing additional resources that people could leverage to learn more about AI and some of the surrounding concepts. Something that also can be leveraged maybe as an educational platform down the road, perhaps. But I wanted to hold, different types of content, have users be able to, again, log in and save favorites of like different things that they're interested in, to be able to add comments. And I think that's probably a good start for now. I'd be open to any other suggestions prior to finalizing the PRD here. So before generating the PRD, give me a couple ideas as to how to improve this, or if there's any features that you think would be beneficial or are missing compared to normal standards of these types of websites or web apps. Okay, so we got my little ramble there. We're going to send this off to Claude, and then this one will be a lot quicker and more back and forth. We'll double check on our other agents here, see how they're doing. All right, so it looks like Perplexity finished here. And where are we with you? You're still going. Okay, so while Claude is giving us some ideas here, let's take a look through what Perplexity was able to find for us in relation to competitors and differentiation here. All right, so it looks like it did come back and give us some interesting information on competitors and this space here, but it did not follow my request and put it in an interactive dashboard. So it did give us this nice chart here with subscriber counts, a couple different tables with different content archetypes and ideas, but it is not what I asked for. So I asked it, where is this interactive dashboard? And we'll see what it can put together if it's able to fix its mistake there. So we'll jump back over to Claude here then and see what Claude has to say. So community and social learning features, discussion forums, interactive learning tools, engagement and discovery, premium tiers, things like that, job board. Okay. It all sounds interesting enough there. Let's start with an MVP then, or minimum viable product of this website. Can you put together the PRD then for this website and provide it to me as an artifact? Do it in Markdown format. All right. So we'll go from there. Go double check on Gemini. All right. So Gemini's giant report here has finished. All right. So the report here then that Gemini was able to provide has a lot of information in it. And I will go through and read this off screen so that you don't have to sit here and watch me stare at it. But it does give, a couple different tables, different ideas. And then at the bottom of it, just to show, it has a list of all the different sources that it pulled from. So basically, in the span of, does it say how long it ran for? Well, 142 from, it doesn't say. Nope. Anywho, but 15 minutes, let's say, it was able to go through and look at hundreds of sources, way more than I would ever be able to do, or be willing to even go into that kind of depth to piece together this information. So I will leverage this then likely as an input to other AI. We'll double check on this. That is still going. All right. So then Claude now has put together the first draft of our PRD. So what PRDs normally contain are an overview of what the product is, kind of the vision of where it's going, who the users are, the types of users that are going to be leveraging the application, core features, and then eventually like the technical details as to like what types, what libraries of code is it going to be leveraging and things like that. So for now though, I just want to focus on the features here. So it's a centralized hub for all newsletter content and curated resources. Features newsletter archive, article categorization, tag-based content organization, featured trending content section, content scheduling and publishing tools. I'm not sure that I would really like this one since it's aimed more at the audience than myself as a tool. So that's one point that I'm going to make an edit on. Yep. User authentication, being able to log in, favorites and bookmarking, personal favorites, custom collection, recently viewed, resource library, categorized resource, difficulty indicators, submission form for contributions. That's interesting. Resource rating and review system, basic community features, comments, user voting, basic discussion threads, newsletter integration, newsletter sign-up forms with preference, newsletter to website content, cross-posting, subscriber only. Oops, that was an accident. No, stop. I don't need you to explain that. Success metrics. It came up with some random success metrics. I'm not sure what it's basing those on. All right. And then it goes into more like a content strategy and things like that. So this is going to be a little bit too in-depth for what we're looking for, or at least for the purposes of this demo here. So what I'm going to say is, to help kind of like cut it down a little bit, is I'm going to have it implement a couple edits here. One is to get rid of the piece that I didn't like. Make the following edits. I want you to remove the content scheduling and publishing tools feature, as this platform is geared towards the audience, not towards me for scheduling and publishing content. And then the other thing that I wanted was, technical requirements are fine. The infrastructure, though, is going to be a little bit different. And actually the back end, we will figure that out separately. So I'm going to say remove everything in the technical requirements from the back end on forward. It's too much in depth currently for this stage. So after front end, remove everything else from the PRD so that it's pared down to just the content that we need. For the front end as well, just to add in a couple of my own little bits of flavor, if you can edit it to include the style that it needs to be, let's go with blue, purple, and black color scheme, kind of like futuristic but minimalistic at the same time for the vibe. Yep, crisp, clean, modern. Let's go with that. All right. So we'll have that do the update there. Let's see if Perplexity was able to fix its stuff yet. Oh, it's building something. All right. So we are going to now get our next agent up and going here. Okay, cool. So we have that in a Google Doc now. So what I'm going to do next then is we're going to hop over to ChatGPT. And what I am going to do here then is we're going to leverage the agent mode. So this is the other kind of general purpose agent here. All right. And then we're going to add the report that Gemini just created. So this whole report is rather long, and there's a lot of different topics that it gives. What I'm going to have ChatGPT do is kind of act as a second opinion, and then also to help me understand better what the gist of what the report is saying there. So there's a couple different things I'm going to ask it to do, and then we'll see what it can put together from there. I want you to go and read through this report on possible content topics to discuss in or to leverage for a newsletter or other medium format for my AI newsletter-ish business that I'm trying to launch. What I'd like you to do then is to first catalog all of the different ideas and niches and content contained within the report in a Excel spreadsheet that will give me a view of the totality of everything that was suggested so that I can look at it in a single table and be able to compare pros and cons of each one. And then what I'd like you to do is either do a little bit of additional research if needed, but ideally I would like you to pick 3 of the topics or niches that would be the most interesting. And I want you to create a PowerPoint presentation to pitch me on why they are the best ones and your recommendation as to which one would be the best and kind of second and third best after that. Okay, so we have that information here. So now we're going to check again on our good buddy Perplexity, who's still being super slow. So while Perplexity is having a heart attack there, we are going to steal the information that it provided here. We will download that as a PDF as well. Perfect. In addition, I want you to also read the market report that is attached on the competitive space surrounding this industry and take these into consideration when suggesting your ideas. In the market mapping PDF, I believe there are also some additional bits of information that would be valuable to put in the Excel sheet as far as like niches or topics goes. So make sure to kind of synthesize a new master table from that. And again, include in the PowerPoint, not only just the topics, but also what niches do you think would be the most interesting or the best option for me to choose and the reasoning why. Okay. All right. So we have all that there. We're going to send our good buddy off to do some work for us. And again, we'll see if it comes back with any questions initially. So ChatGPT agent mode has its own virtual terminal or virtual computer that it can leverage to run code, to browse the web. It can actually visually visit websites as well and like click through the interface. So we'll see a little representation here of what it's doing, but we can almost kind of watch in real time as to what it's actually going and doing. And it's a little bit of its thought process. So like right now it's got the PDF open and it's scrolling through it, reading the different pieces there. And it's kind of narrating its inner monologue, basically. So while it's doing that, though, again, we don't need to sit and wait for it. Going to double check one more time on Perplexity. It says got 5 minutes left. I don't believe you, but we will give it the benefit of the doubt, see if it comes through. All right. So while those guys are all working, we're going to double check now the PRD that got put back. It got rid of my request to remove that extra feature that wasn't necessary. And then I guess, yeah, here's the summary. I've removed detailed. Cool. So let's just make sure that it actually did incorporate all that. These are still features, newsletter, front end, color scheme. Yep, it's got my color scheme in here now. Design philosophy, visual elements. I'd add state management and mobile first, which makes sense since a lot of people do use the mobile phones more than computers nowadays. And then it add the future considerations here. Okay, so good enough for me. So what we will do now then is, so these are still going. ChatGPT is working on its stuff. So now what we're going to do is we'll take this MVP here and we'll copy it. And we're going to leverage another agent called Lovable. So this is a coding agent that can create applications, websites, you name it there. And we will give it a go with what we're trying to put together here. So for now, since I already have the PRD put together, I'm going to say just something simply, create the following MVP website following the instructions of the PRD. And then paste it. So got the whole document there for it to read. I'm going to send it off. And coding agents are, depending on the tool that you're using, are a bit more visual. They have normally this kind of chat window off to the side, and then there is the preview window over in the middle here where you can actually see the code that it's writing kind of come to life and or render your website in real time there. All right, so it looks like Perplexity finally finished its interactive dashboard like I asked for here. So it's provided a little applet that we can go and take a look at. So this will be to help kind of interact and understand with the data that it had provided there. So we've got, looks like 12 different competitors. And for each one of these, we can click into them. So like if we click into this one here for the rundown, you can see who it is, the number of subscribers, the saturation of that market, so news and tools, and how they're monetizing it. Okay, so what we'd be looking for then is kind of some of the low saturation. So what's this guy here? Simon Wilson's blog, 75,000, blog and newsletter. He does deep dives. Looks like consulting and GitHub sponsorship. All right, so again, these are some of the different competitors in the space. Looks like it's got some filtering options if I wanted to see just YouTube, or how many of them have newsletters, how many of them are doing blogs as well, podcast. Okay. Different categories. All right, cool. So now let's look at the market opportunities. So I put the 6 different ones here. The ones that have high opportunity are localization, code, agent builders, and then it kind of goes up from there. So photography, visual arts, AI gaming, etc. Still low competition though. Opportunity level medium. Okay. Not quite sure what it means by that. And then the market analysis here. So oversaturated. We got daily AI news roundups, general tools, prompt tips, productivity hacks. Yep, fair enough. I would agree. Growth areas, industry specific AI applications, no code, ethics and governance, local or on the edge deployment. So that means on devices like mobile phones or computers, laptops, and then AI for the creative industries. So then it's kind of showing here the growth rate percentage by content type. So newsletters have grown or are growing by 15%, YouTube, Substack, podcast. So this definitely mirrors the trends that I've been seeing as well too, that everybody has a podcast, or podcasts are indeed a really good place to start or content to produce. And then we have opportunity versus competition matrix. So we've got opportunity on the y-axis, competition on the x-axis. So far, the biggest opportunity, it looks like, is AI for gaming and anime. Interesting. Otherwise followed by AI photography, visual arts, local AI. All right. So AI for gaming and anime. Interesting. I like both of those things, obviously, since I had informed it that. I wonder if our good buddy ChatGPT will have thought the same. So Chat looks like it's still working on building out their PowerPoint. So we'll let it continue to do its thing. And it's getting it close. Should be done soon. We're going to jump over quick here then to our code. And you can see here, so again, for a coding agent, multiple steps, multiple tools, agentic in that it's also autonomous, like running on its own here. So you can see it had a little hiccup at the beginning that I had to reprompt it here, and it wanted to start to do the back end pieces, but I had asked it to do the front end first, since that's more visual and kind of like what we're looking at here. So you can see it's gone through each of the different steps that it's showing the different steps that it took here for creating the different files that are necessary to render the website. And then at the end of it, it gives a detailed outline of what it did and what exists right now. So on the right-hand side here, then we could kind of click through and test out any of this. So if we went to the newsletter page, what that looks like. So I'm definitely not a fan of the color scheme here. This light on, or kind of reverse dark mode. But we got the start of it here. So newsletter, you can search through the newsletters, you can filter. Doesn't look like the filter actually works right now yet. You have some examples, read full issue. Again, that content doesn't exist yet, so it's not clickable. You got the community. It didn't build out the community page yet. Or resources does take us to that page. So initially here, there's a few different edits that we can make. I'm going to start with the obvious. The color scheme of the website is very hard to read. When you hover over the different buttons and it changes color to black, that makes it really almost impossible to read. Also, with the darker background, a lot of the text that is on the screen is not high enough contrast to be visible. So for example, the 25K plus weekly readers, the 25K part is almost invisible. Same thing with the little icons that are above them. And same thing for the featured content section, that is almost invisible there. So do another pass on updating the color scheme for the site and optimizing it for better readability. See if there's any other immediate things. I'm liking the effects on it though. Okay, well, yeah, right now let's fix the colors first and kind of go from there. So we will send it off and then jump back over to chat. All right. So looks like chat worked then for 22 minutes, and we have here our Excel summary and our PowerPoint. So we can start. Let's take a look at the Excel. So we got topic, category, key points, and this is not exactly the best place to view it, so I will download it here, and we can actually look at it in a real Excel file. All right, let's take another look at this here. So now we've got all the different topics, category, key points, content saturation, unique angles, pros or opportunities, cons and challenges, and user alignment. And so this is my personal alignment with, okay. So now I've kind of got like the full idea list here that I could look through and again, choose from. But we actually asked chat to help us with that. So let's see what it put together for a PowerPoint then. All right. So we got 7 slides. Find your niche. Dominant AI newsletters focus on daily news and tools. Research summaries, productivity tips remain highly crowded. Generative art, gaming, localization, and agents are underserved niches. So yep, there's the saturation data visualized there in a table we saw on the Excel. Opportunity, AI, and localization. So, okay, that's definitely, relevant to my experience. No code agents are the other one, obviously tailored to, again, my interests that I had input there, that I can do that kind of stuff. This was the idea around like photographer or photography, comparison and ranking. All right, and it looks like we got a little go-to-market plan here for this. So essentially, this particular one homed in on my own, my preferences, right, or the things that I'm interested in there. So I mean, out of all of these, like the localization one is definitely pretty strong. I mean, they're all interesting to me. So the purpose of that then is to show, like, not only can it take that data, then it can also, again, do tasks on your behalf, such as creating a spreadsheet, creating a report in the form of a PowerPoint or a presentation, a pitch deck, things of that sort there. And again, this is with just me sending it one prompt, it produces something, and then I'm looking at the output right now. Normally, you would want to go back and forth more with the tools in a more iterative fashion. So I could ask it to improve upon, the pitch deck there, or take into consideration some of the other options that I didn't specifically mention that I was interested in, or had a history of or skill in. But that's just kind of scratching the surface of some of the different things that it's capable of. So we're going to jump back over and then now to Lovable, and we can see here that it has gone through and has fixed up the visuals. It's definitely a lot more easier to read. Yep. And then when they highlight, it no longer makes them completely illegible. All articles takes us to the newsletter archive, which is here. Resources button still works. Got the different papers. Again, these are placeholders, so they won't actually go anywhere. It's kind of simulating the stars. Community, that one's still broken or still not ready. And then the home page here. And these will be topics. So interesting. Okay. So then we could continue to go back and forth with it to make improvements, to add in the different features for the login is a good example. Connecting it with a backend or with like Supabase is one of the ones that's built into this particular one to handle that kind of stuff, or start to tailor it more towards the actual niche that we might end up choosing, like anime and gaming as an example. Add more elements of that, change up the text. You can see it's added kind of some of the placeholder elements that most websites would have, like social proof there, number of like stats. Obviously, this would all be 0 currently for me, but the point is it's showing what the website should or could look like for something of this sort. Yeah. So it's giving a good starting point is kind of the main piece there. So overall, that was just a little bit of a sampling as to some of the different capabilities that exist for different types of agents that are out there. There's, again, coding agents, research agents, general purpose ones. There are also the different tools that agents can use. So ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini all have the ability to access like your Google Suite is a good example, to be able to read files that are in your Google Drive to get additional context, or to send emails on your behalf, or update your calendar, or figure out when you're free, or do any of those things in a chain of events as well. So again, this is just a small sampling, but yeah, let me know if you like this format, if there's other topics that I didn't cover or particular features of agents that didn't make any sense or that I didn't cover well enough. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.